Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a post-fight recap. Or is it a fight recap? But in this video, I'll be doing UFC Fight Night or UFC London Blaydes versus Aspinall. And if you can already, you can't already tell, this is where I went wrong, but not just where I went wrong. It's just me focusing on the whole card. So I really only had one person. Well, I had a couple people saying, well, I don't like the name. I don't feel like the name is the best. I don't feel like this is that. So this is, again, experimenting. The Where I Went Wrong series, experimental. The Before I Go Wrong, experimental. Post-fight recap, whatever you want to call it, experimental. So I'm going to say, well, I'm going to say fight recap or post-fight show. I'm going to say post-fight recap. That's what it is. After the fight, you recap in the fight. So post-fight recap. That's what this will be for now, probably for this week. See how it gets 2 views. We going back to Where I Went Wrong. Gets 2,000 views. Like, hey, we on to something. But I don't know. All it is me going over the card where I went right, where I went wrong, just analyzing every fight, just kind of running through it. So first fight, Dalby versus Claudio Silva. Win as expected. Got dub in that one. Got a dub in that one. Decision. Dalby just more well-rounded and also younger. So pretty easy one right there. Wouldn't say it was a lock, but pretty easy, high confident, and deservingly so. Next fight, we had Leonardo versus Baum, or Baum versus Leonardo. My first L of the night. Oh, I didn't even say where I went. I went 8-6. So, hey, big improvement from 5-7 last week. No, not where I want to be, but definitely put me on better track to be where I want to be. So, I ain't too mad at it. And also the main event and then how it ended. Could have easily probably been a 9-5 card instead of an 8-6, but who knows? It could Blaydes could have easily went out the next fight. I mean, the rest of the fight, if it played out and just took him down and dominated him, or who knows? So, but Blaydes won. L is an L, but it's not an L I can feel too mad about, to be honest. I can say, oh damn, I predicted that so bad. It was a freak accident. One week I benefit from a freak accident, other week I don't. It's just nature of the game. It's very volatile. But anyway, Leonardo versus Baum. I thought Baum could defend the takedown better. I thought she was a better striker. But ultimately, Leonardo was just more tenacious, and Baum can defend the takedowns. And it was what it like. And I feel like with these women's fights, I feel like right now, when two bums are, I'm not going to say bums, when two lower tier women fighters go against each other, is a current trend. It's seeming like the dog is prevailing more often than not right now. I feel like the dog is biting very heavy in women's MMA at the lower end of the totem pole, at the base of the totem pole. So no types of fight. And I'm saying all this, but I feel like next week I'm about to lean to another favorite in a lower totem pole fight. Just because I see a path. Because I saw a path here, I saw a path there, but I don't know, I feel like it's reasonable in the next fight. But we'll see on next card, see how that goes. And you'll see the fight I'm talking about. Maybe you won't. I'm not going to point out, say this is the fight I was talking about. But it's only one female fight, I think, on the next card. Well, not the main event, but on the undercard of that card. Because the main event is a women's fight. Pina versus Nunes too. So, but the undercard is only one female fight that's not the main event. So it's pretty obvious which one I'm talking about. Then next one, Jai Herbert versus Kyle Nelson. I thought it would be much more. I didn't think it was going to be an easy fight, but I thought Herbert was going to be able to get a stoppage. I thought the fight was highly likely only going to end via stoppage. But hey, Herbert did what he had to do, rebound and got a win. Wasn't very impressed, but he got it. He did what he had to do. I know Cal Nelson brought some adjustments, brought some more kicks in than usual, like worked on his kicking game. But hey, still dog should have been a stoppage from Herbert. I'm not impressed, but a win's a win, and it's better to get a win in a lesson than a loss in a lesson. Because then you can like, oh, I won an ugly fight. Matter of fact, I actually even lost that fight. I'm not saying that's what happened, but like, hey, it can be, sometimes those fights you win ugly. I make words up. You win fights, very close, or even fights a lot of people feel you lost, but you won. You got your win bonus. Go into the next day, and you could like, hey, maybe mentally take it as a loss or take it as a W, take it as a lesson, and you could go back and go out there and get another win. And you start getting some more pretty wins on there. Like you get that ugly win that people probably forget about, and you make them forget about with your next performances. Now you're on 10-5 win streak. Nobody cared that the first fight on that win streak was an ugly fight. That a lot of people feel that you lost. Like you won it, and it's a green, it's a W. So much better take a W and a dub. I mean, a lesson in a win than a lesson in a loss. Then you take a lesson. I mean, you lose 2 times and you on a cutting board, or 3 times you gone. But anywho, yeah, it's not super impressed with Herbert, but a win's a win, and picked him, so good on that one. Next fight, Mohammed Makaya versus Charles Johnson, another dub. Well, when just as expected. Charles Johnson's a solid fight, very skilled, very experienced and all that stuff. Does have a wrestling deficiency, but he's not a guy that's deficient. But so I saw like out of his skill set, his wrestling was his biggest weakness. And Makaya, that was one of his biggest strengths. And he just simply went out there, took him down, controlled him, set a flyweight record. So did what he had to do. Perfect pick, to be honest. I picked decision. I knew Johnson was a guy that's gonna go away easy. He'll give him a little bit of work, but that wrestling deficiency was gonna allow Makaya to, get a pretty clear victory, which he did, and had a clear path, and he followed that through. Next fight was my second L or third L. What was this? Yeah, Leonardo's at the L. Yeah, this is my second L on the card. So Pierce versus Mccann. With this one, I put low confidence. So y'all ever watching these videos with like my quick picks and like, well, he sounds so confident about this. He sounds so confident about that. Like, just trying to put a parlay for every single pick I make and just put them all on the pick like I was going. Let me just say, I never had a perfect card in my life. I never had a card where I got every single fight right. And that's nothing wrong with that. That's just the honest thing. I feel like other people come in and they had a little flash in the pans. Every other week they just be absolute garbanzo, negative. But they have that 1 week where they just hit everything perfect. I'm the kind of guy like I'm gonna have these garbanzo weeks every blue moon. Mostly I'm kind of consistent. But the thing is, I never have a perfect card. That's my thing. I have never had a perfect card. I hope to have one day, but I have never had a straight, flawless, no loss card ever. But I hope to have that one day. And maybe multiple days as well. Speaking into existence. But anywho, yeah, with this one, it was a low confidence pick. I still like the way Pierce was dealing in some of these grappling situations when he actually fought grapplers. Obviously, Lozon just tooled him. He fought with Christian Rodriguez. A bantamweight had issue with him. I know Mccann, when I look at most of his losses, it's really to strikers that have decent takedown defense or solid takedown defense and are able to extend them. And he's like does well in grappler versus grappling matchups. So I thought like this would be a good match. I knew his cardio was still an issue, but low confidence given the fact that he has cardio issues. But I thought like, and Pierce giving up that neck, I thought Mccann would be able to capitalize and be able to make him pay for it and tap him out. Or even be able to grapple him up for rounds. I was like, Pierce didn't look that great cardio-wise in the Rodriguez fight or the Christian Rodriguez fight when he had to actually go with somebody that was grappling, drawing submissions, and really making him work for these positions and had the defensive submissions. He looked pretty fatigued in the second and third round, but is able to just ride the top position and get a win. But he looked very fatigued in that, especially third round. He looked very lethargic on the feet in that fight. So yeah, it is what it is. Low confidence. This saw a dog that could potentially bite, but ultimately Mccann fell into his typical pattern. Like, the man doesn't have cardio, could look good at the first round, but he can't get you out of the first round. He's going to fade and get put away, pretty much. And that's what happened. So it was a risk pick, but a risk that did not pay off. I knew the full risk in that one, took it low confidence, but it did not pay off. Simple as that. Next fight, Nathaniel Wood versus Charles Rosa. I don't really give I gave a pretty vague prediction for this one, but it was like high confidence Nathaniel Wood, maybe even a lot confidence, but it was definitely high confidence. And Wood went out to do what he did. He was just way better than Charles Rosa everywhere. I mean, obviously the jiu-jitsu-wise might not gonna be better than him, but like as far as the overall package, this is a different level to him and picking apart as he should. Whether to say what he's gonna do in the rest of the division, don't really say much. But Charles Rosa not really a factor in the division. That's just the flat out honest thing. He's not a factor in the division as far as relevant wise, but it's a good thing to get your feet wet in the division, come off a layoff, and come up a weight class, get a victory, put you in a decent place. Better than like coming in and struggling. You go up there and get a semi-easy win, you're supposed to win this fight, and it's not really no true dangers in the fight. And like I said, get some money, get some wins, get some confidence. And in this thing, confidence is probably the most valuable currency in MMA, because it be guys like be like world beaters, they get one loss and it takes them, like they just be mentally broken and they never recover. Or they be this and that, one bad loss and they don't ever recover. So that mental confidence is a lot of things. You be a guy, you're in the UFC, so all wins are pretty relevant. And then you can get a win over a guy like easy, semi-easy win, or a confidence building win. And then maybe another confidence building win. And then maybe start testing the guys that really can beat you, I guess. But anyway, too deep into it, ain't really irrelevant at this point. So what was that, 2 L's with Pierce and Leonardo. I picked Baum, she lost. Picked Mccann, he lost. So those are the 2 L's. Then let's see, another W coming up. We have Mark Casey versus Damir Hazovic, and this one won pretty much how I expected. Another perfect decision pick right here. but obviously it didn't flow the way I thought. I mean, it did literally flow the way I thought it would. I thought he could mix up on the striking, but it's been his current pattern. Like, he's going to wrestle heavy, and Hazovic does have wrestling issues, and he did that. So it wasn't exactly how I said it was going to go, pretty much, but I feel like I could have said it a little bit better or made it a little bit better. But yeah, I say he gets, I'll strike him on the feet, faster, more athletic, and get their takedowns, and well, basically that's what would have happened. But I don't know, I feel like I could have said it better. Still perfect, but even on perfect picks, I'm still kind of trying to critique myself. But hey, it is what it is. Next fight, we had Adobe Klein versus Mason Jones, or Mason Jones versus Adobe Klein, and this was my third L. And with this one, I feel like I was leaning Jones, bigger, seemed to have more perspective to him. Not really high on Klein. I thought Jones could, push a high pace on him. I thought he could do that. I thought he could pressure him, have success against the cage. But I just feel like he kind of got too caught up in the fight and didn't really game plan too much, especially going for a lot of these submissions and giving up positions. And then that second round is getting caught and dropping. I just feel like he didn't fight the best. And then the fight got taken away from him. Like, he got dropped. That obviously took a round from him. And obviously not, probably fighting just to fight and not really game planning too much. But ultimately at this one, Jones definitely takes a dip as far as stock-wise. Adobe Klein, I feel like his stocks don't really go up to me, to be honest. I'm still not impressed with what I've seen from Adobe Klein. And I feel like at some point he's going to become some easy money for me, to be honest. Yeah, become some easy money for me sometime. But hey, Jones decided to spill with the steam of this one. Jones did not fight the smartest fight. And I knew that with him. Like, I kind of, like I said, like, that could definitely happen. But I'm liking him to not let that happen. But he let it happen. He just he didn't use his brain in this fight. That's just what it really comes down. He did not use his brain. But going for a little double Klein, I'm not like super impressed. Only thing I'm truly impressed with double Klein, Klein. The only thing I am truly impressed with by Adobe Klein is his wrestling defense. I don't think it's like the technical wrestling defense. I think he's so fast and explosive at sprawling on these takedowns. And that's what truly impressed. When you start going in with those higher level wrestlers, they're going to start taking angles, chain wrestling, and that takedown defense is going to unravel. But at this level, this lower level, up and coming level, like, you're trying to become something, you're trying to become relevant, or trying to get to a point where you're even a factor in this deep division, that takedown defense is going to hold up pretty well at this level. But yeah, very impressed with his takedown defense at this level. But going forward, at some point, striking, he'll get mixed up. Wrestling, he's going to get very much exposed. Grappling, get very much exposed. But as of right now, that takedown defense is on lockdown right now at this level. But that's the only thing I'm impressed with. So, third L, next fight, Volkan Oezdemir versus Paul Craig. At this point, when I picked Oezdemir, he was the dog, but then eventually he moved to the favorite. I just think people clearly saw Oezdemir has 80% takedown offense. Paul Craig's current wins aren't really all that impressive when you really look at them. And yeah, they saw the takedown offense. They saw the striking. And it played out. I thought it was gonna be a knock. I thought it was gonna be a fight that could only end in stoppage. But hey, every single time you start thinking a fight is a lock on stoppage, it found a way to not be that. Paul Craig turned into a guard puller, and Oezdemir just didn't commit to really trying to knock him out. But hey, for the fight, you're gonna fight. You're not gonna go out there and try to force a knockout on a guy that is trying to play guard and pull guard. You're trying to win. So he outstruck him and then let him play guard. Outstruck him, let him play guard. And Craig, every time he got hurt, it's hurt or not hurt, pulling guard. So it's hard to knock out a guy that's pulling guard all the time. And unless you fully commit, which gives him the opportunity to tap you out. So Oezdemir fought smart and got the victory. The 80% takedown defense held up, and probably like 90% or probably like 85, 86, or 87. That percentage probably went up even more after this fight. All the takedowns he defended. So the 80% showed up. Paul Craig was never really a great offensive wrestler, and that much held up, and Oezdemir's takedown defense held up. So yeah, W right there, just didn't materialize a knockout. The fight didn't really have enough time to stand, so I can't be too mad at anyone. A win in the fight that was really, to a lot of people, a dog, Oezdemir. Any which way you get that, can't be mad at it. So, but definitely the takedown defense held up. So that's one thing I liked about that one. But good win. Another win coming up, we had Molly Mccann. I was thinking submission, but either way I was thinking finish. People see Molly Mccann as a decision fighter. I definitely saw her as a decision fighter. But her last fight, that was a pretty good fight. I mean, you know, decent fighter, decent frame, etc., that you put away. So like now Goldie coming in. Goldie really ain't got no height over her. She ain't got no reach over her. She ain't got this over her. She ain't got no credible win. She's literally the bottom of the roster type fighter. While Mccann's getting spoon fed here, it's like she could put this chick away. So I was thinking, I definitely was thinking she's gonna put her away, but I was thinking like, I'm like, wrap her up. Not really wrap her up, but like, you know, beat on her, to beat her down to submission, then probably hop on her back and tap her out or something, or beat her down, score a takedown and tap her out. But nonetheless, I was thinking finish. That was like, but anywho. It didn't finish the way I thought it would, but finished nonetheless. And also earlier than I thought it would, but nonetheless finished. And once again, throwing that spinning elbow in there. So, hey, she got something she liking and did it back to back. So, yeah, another W, but you really look at it, far from perfect, but at the end of the day, a win's a win. But, yeah, and still dominating and such as I was expecting, but yeah. Now to the next fight, this was my fourth L. Alexander Gustafsson, well, Nikita Krylov versus Alexander Gustafsson. And this one, I'm gonna say, still not impressed with Krylov. Even in a win, he still looked like a bum in a way. Even in a win, a dominant first round TKO, 1 minute and 7 seconds. The man still looked sloppy. I think that Gustafsson looked worse for wear. And I think, well, one thing I would say, no, I'm not at all impressed with Krylov in his career or this win. No insult to him, just my personal opinion. I'm not impressed with him at all. But one thing I will give him credit for is that, you know, he put that little Daniel Cormier thing he kind of did against Stipe Miocic in the first fight to get off the cage. But I'm not saying that's what I was impressed with. That was a little nice little thing in there in between. But the only thing I really truly was impressed with, well, matter of fact, I'm not even truly impressed with that. But the one I'm gonna say, not impressed with the smart thing he did was he knew Gustafsson had not been active, confidence not there, and like I said, the confidence not there, been inactive. I don't know if he knew he was worse for wear or whatever the case may be, but you take a guy that's inactive and not confident and probably never really been the greatest fast starter, Gustafsson, and you go out there and you press him early, and that's what Krylov did. That's what he did. So that's one smart thing he did. They allowed Gustafsson to start get comfortable out there and made him uncomfortable from the jump. So Gustafsson never got a chance to really get a fight. It's like he got drawn with overhand like probably 30, 40 seconds into the fight. So yeah, never really got a chance to get settled. But power looked at, I don't know if it's Gustafsson not really being there or Krylov got some power that he's been working on, but nonetheless, quick stoppage. Going to definitely be looking out for that power, see if it holds up more with more relevant fights now against guys that's not looking shot. But hey, but I guess what I could say a lesson to learn from this one and this L right here is right now, not dogs, but older legends and semi-old legends are not doing the best. Because Gustafsson, he not like he like 37. He been in like 400 fights and stuff. He not like a Robbie Lawler or some of these other guys and stuff. He didn't have the most lengthiest career. He one of those guys that have been fighting like 10 fights and fought on regional scene, fought in the backyards, and et cetera, then fought like a 20-fight UFC career. He has fought a good number of fights, but he's definitely not one of those guys. But on the downtrend and semi-old. He's at the 35 threshold, but he's not over it. So I thought he could still have a little bit of juice in him and still have a little bit of hunger, and especially seeing guys he beat become champion, guys older than him that he beat dominantly become champion. Though he would come back with some fire in his belly, but I think that second John Jones fight took out a lot more in him than I realized, and probably the Anthony Smith fight didn't help, and that moved heavyweight probably helped. But I feel like definitely the John Jones fight took the most out of it. The Anthony Smith fight took a good bit out of him. But didn't lay off, but yeah. Goose is done, I think, at this point. He's definitely done and probably should retire and look elsewhere. But who knows? People have pulled out. I mean, I don't know. In my opinion. So if he managed to turn his career around and do something, but I feel like he should retire. Because at this point, it's just not like, especially losing to Krylov. I said before, I said before the fight, if he loses to Krylov, he should retire. And I'm going to stick with that. If he lost to Krylov, especially in that fashion, he should retire. But in my opinion, end of the day, who am I? So that was my fourth L. Next fight, W. I don't know if I picked second or third, but I ain't even going to look it up. I ain't going to even fact check with this one, but I picked Patty Pimblett and I picked by submission. And it played out that way. in the first round. I remember, in fact, literally, I feel like this was literally kind of a perfect pick. Whether we second or third round, I'm just going to clear this was a perfect pick. I thought Pimblett would make the first round kind of ugly. I feel like Pimblett a guy that's make fights unnecessarily ugly. Like every single fight in the UFC has been unnecessarily ugly. Debut especially unnecessarily ugly. His second fight, not nearly as ugly, but still unnecessarily ugly. This fight literally going there with a one-dimensional grappler. Made that first round pretty unnecessarily ugly, but pretty much settled down and was able to like take advantage of the one-dimensionalness of Levitt and then take this back and tap him out. So like pretty perfect pick. I think I picked rear naked choke, predicted first rear naked choke, like I said, second, third round, ugly first round. But yeah, so perfect pick. Pimblett, getting spoon fed right now, but the guy's taking like what he really could be making $100 in a fight. He draws a lot of attention, or more to be honest, but he could be making that, and deservedly so. Y'all talking about stars or people that bring attention to be making money, but he seemed to be comfortable making $15K a fight, or what's 15K to show, 15K to win, or whatever case he's making to look like the base minimum or wherever around the base minimum, when he's already a star and already making millions or whatever he's making from podcasts and stuff. But the guy does deserve a lot more money. But hey, I guess maybe taking a pay cut because the deal is, the 360 deal is that we gonna let you build yourself up like you in Bellator or something, or you on these regional scenes. Like you in the biggest organization, we allow you to build yourself up slow, make as much money as you can before we start really feeding you the real deal killers. So, hey, I guess in some way it panned out because his stars only grow brighter and he can make money other ways. He's not one of these other guys that just all they can do is fight. Or only thing about them is that they fight. They're a good fighter. He definitely is an interesting character, and he knows that, and the UFC knows that. Everybody knows that, so he can use that attention to only build himself and make more money. So, in some way, the money's coming back to him. So, I ain't mad at him for that. Especially given the fact that he's taking such a steep pay cut or being so humble with that little bit of money he's making when he could be making a lot more. So, I ain't mad at him at all. And he's still a pretty young dude. And at the end of the day, it's a business, so you gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm not gonna think he's gonna say, "Oh, I'm been fighting the hardest competition UFC had." I think he would admit, like, "Yeah, I'm getting spoon fed, or I'm much better than guys they're giving me." But yeah, interesting guy, and would love to keep him around more and keep spoon feeding him for a good probably a year or two more, then probably step him up, and we see if he actually can hold up. But that's a whole nother video, a whole nother thing, a whole nother discussion. So my last dub of the card, now I'm riding 4 L's. Well, I have 4 L's on the card. Right at this point, I had let me see. At this point, I was 8-4 at this point. Then went into the co-main event. I'm riding some pretty good momentum right here. Then we had Chris Curtis versus Jack Hermanson. Now, I like this one. Chris Curtis, teammate of Sean Strickland, who already beat Hermanson. Chris Curtis shows solid takedown defense, and Hermanson is a grappler. So he keeps the fight on his feet. Training partner, we got to already beat him, so I already know the path to beat him. He has the skills to beat him. And then we go out there too busy looking at Tinder on British Tinder instead of focusing on actually fighting. Couldn't cut the cage off and was waiting for Hermanson the whole time. And Hermanson just went out there and point for him, and Chris Curtis couldn't do nothing about it. The height was a lot of issue for him. But I don't know. I don't know where his head was at. He just was flat out there. But ultimately, he looked like who I thought he was. Because when I first saw him fight, this guy's good. He has all the skills and stuff, but he's the reason why he's in the position he is in. Lack of urgency and lack of output. And that's kind of what he kind of showed. He was who he was beforehand. He kind of shifted the narrative, in his UFC career, but this fight kind of brought it back. And that momentum could definitely kill his momentum for good. And at this point, he's only going to be probably getting real decent, real sturdy, solid fighters. It ain't gonna get any easier from here. And it's not like he's the youngest guy in the world, so this was a big mistake on his part, especially taking this fight. But I don't know whether it paid off him or not. I never really gave him the highest ceiling anyway, but it's gonna be some tough fights from here on now. Some very tough fights. And now riding L and momentum shifting against you. Yeah. You took a big risk, and you knew you took a big risk, but you weren't fully committed, and this fought sloppily and fought flat. And now you're gonna pay for taking that risk, but that's the expense of taking risks. But anywho, yeah, I was very confident in Chris Curtis. Very confident in Chris Curtis. Not a lot, but very confident in Chris Curtis to be able to pull off a W here. I feel like everything was on his side, except for maybe height and reach and a little bit of UFC experience. But I feel outside that, a wrestler versus a striker versus a grappler, a striker with solid enough takedown offense and grappling defense, could keep it on feet, should be able to outbox Hermanson like literally a stiff, slow lurch, and he let him style on him. Embarrassing. But anywho, my 5th L right there. Then the 6th and final L, Curtis Blaydes versus Tom Aspinall. Freak injury. I really can't say much about this one at all. I literally can't say much about this at all. The fight literally lasts like 2 seconds. They do a little fillers. Tom Aspinall do a kick out there, blew his knee out, fight over. And so I can't say, oh, well, Curtis Blaydes, he been training this. He been doing some cheese training. So when Tom Aspinall do a kick at this right moment, he gonna pull his leg out. You should have knew that. You should have knew that. Nah, it literally just a freak ass. They don't say much about any fighter. A win's a win, a L's a L, but it's really nothing to take from this fight at all. I said maybe these guys need to drink some more milk or inject some calcium or get some new bones, but ain't much to say about it. Even with the Ortega fight, and I got that one right, but saying through the same method. Like last week, I got Rodriguez right because Ortega got injured. But and the same thing I said, I'll take it. A W is a W, but I can't say that the full fight would have played out that way. It was a full fight, but it definitely played a lot more than this fight. You at least see that Rodriguez was looking sharper on the feet, wasn't scared of Ortega on the ground, looking slower, looking fresher. This fight, you really didn't see nothing. But nonetheless, in both fights, the fight didn't fully play out. And even that fight with Ortega versus Rodriguez, I feel like some judges, if that armbar didn't land, could have given that round to Ortega, just based off the striking not being that far as actual shots landed, not being that far apart, and the fact that Ortega did get a takedown. And if he would defend the submission, it probably would end up on top to end the round off. Could have easily been Ortega round. So you could have your pros and your cons, and you nitpick here, nitpick there, but at the end of the day, a win's a win. Curtis Blaydes won, but I can't really take much from this. But definitely Tom Aspinall will have to take some time off. When you got injured, you're going to take some time off, and Blaydes going to go on. But if fight ain't gone again, he'll get knocked out again. It's just don't see any other outcome. But hopefully Blaydes versus Cyril Gane can happen, and Gane can get past Tai Tuivasa, or Blaydes versus Tuivasa, whatever the case may be. Because Tuivasa could possibly win. He's a game fighter. He could possibly win that one. And you can have Curtis Blaydes versus Tai Tuivasa for an interim title. You know, while Aspinall gets healed and, you know, try to get back on the wins. And while Ngannou works out whatever he wants to work out, works out his injury. And you have an interim title, and Blaydes will be in that one because he's the highest. There's no one else really up there outside of the winner of Cyril Gane versus Tai Tuivasa. So that's really the only next plays. Or maybe Volkov could slip in there if he puts some more wins together or something. But right now, Blaydes looking like the clear A in that fight, or B, A or B in that one. Just looking for the next person to get into their spot where he'll see who he'll face for the interim title. And that makes the most sense right now. And if he wins that fight, then they can only give him his third fight with Ngannou. But I still see the same exact outcome, him getting knocked out in under 2.5. But that's the video. Again, went 8 and 6. Much a big improvement from 5 and 7. But barring some freak accidents and some questionable fight IQs in there, could have been a more decent card. Was supposed to be better, but hey. Anything better than 5 and 7. I mean, not anything better, but 8 and 6 is a lot better than 5 and 7 from last week. And it's going to be a good shift in momentum to ride that into the next week. And the week after and the week after. But just looking to build on this week and be better. Not super impressed, but not mad at it. That's all I'm saying. So that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.